Hello,
Hi.
and welcome to That'll Be the Tism. We are a podcast about our lives as late diagnosed and discovered neurodivergent adults.
Yes.
That worked. We've changed to say neurodivergent instead of autistic and ADHD because we're having some jiggles made, aren't we?
Yes.
And we were advised that it was a mouthful, which I already knew because I get it wrong literally every single time that we do the podcast. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're just saying neurodivergent now because then why not?
Because you are neurodivergent. You were being autistic about it
I was.
in the sense that you don't want to say that you've not yet had your official autism diagnosis.
Not every week.
Not every week, no. So
Mm.
neurodivergent works. But what I wrote at the time was people trying to adult,
Yeah, well, that
is what
works.
I wrote.
People trying to adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which also works. Because if we
Oh,
are adults, but really are we?
so a podcast about our lives as late diagnosed neurodivergent people trying to adult.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, that works. Yeah, I like it.
Because we're trying to adult, but like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean?
I mean, I'm successfully adulting somehow, but I often don't feel like I am. Like I have an existential crisis most days when I either
Yeah.
drop my son off at school or pick him up because there's a whole thing about dropping him off at school and being like, right, and now I have to transition into like normal me mode rather than mum mode. But pretty much every single day when I'm walking from school to the car after I've picked my son up from school, I have a moment or five where my brain just goes, who let me have a child? how how is this a thing that I'm doing? It's like one of those moments where you're like, is this really my life? Am I really doing a school run? Especially if I've been on time, which doesn't happen all that often, but especially those moments. But yeah, I have an existential parenting moment most days.
I think I don't know whether you find this, but a lot of the time, like, I think about being a kid and you think about adults and you just think they know what they're doing, they've got their lives together and everything. And
How wrong we were.
like, when I'm an adult, I'll know what I want to do with my life. I'll know, like, basic things. And then you are an adult now in number.
Don't
And
feel
I
like
always
that.
thought like 40 sounded like you definitely have stuff together by then.
Oh, you're going through all this stuff now, aren't you? Yeah, because it's your
Yeah, I
your
mean,
40th soon.
I'm not really bothered about it, to be honest with you, because I've come to terms with the fact that I'm never going to be truly an adult. My husband's dad has the best phrase, which is like, he always says, if you grow up, then you start dying. And I'm like, and I
Oh
mean,
my
it's a bit
God.
morbid, it's a bit bleak, but it's true. Like, just
Yeah.
life's like you only get one life, so why,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, absolutely. But yeah, that's a lot, that. But yeah, it's really strange because you just don't realize, and there'd be no way to explain it to like a young person that actually nothing changes apart from the
No.
fact that you're older and your body isn't as, you know, capable and you're not able to, for me, I'm not able to like work all night and still be fine the next day. And I can't drink as much now because my body doesn't like it. I'm generally more hormonal and less tolerant of things. Apart from that, I'm just the same as I was when I was.
See, I mean, I hesitate to use the word lucky, but as somebody who's had a mobility issue since I was 13,
Ah, you won't be
I've
noticing it all that.
always, my body's always been
Yeah.
falling apart. I've spent more of my life now falling apart than I have with like parts. That sounds wrong, but all of my parts working.
Sorry.
I'm just
You're
gonna say
laughing at
it.
that, but never mind. Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
suppose.
just gonna say it.
Yeah.
Anyway, this episode, quite linked, I think, to the fact that
Falling
we're
apart.
pretending to adult,
Yeah, we
is
are.
a spoonless episode
Hmm.
because life be lifing.
I'm knackered.
Yes.
I'm,
I'm
yeah.
I'm not knackered because I had a lay in this morning, but I have had a really bad headache, and that always makes my brain go a bit floopy,
Floopy
fluty,
or flutty.
Flutty.
That sounds...
That sounds wrong.
Let's not go with that. But yeah,
So yeah,
spoonless, no spoons.
absolutely zero.
On the brief topic of jingles, while we mentioned it, coming back to it, I guess, because we've gone off on a tangent since then.
Oh yeah.
Before we talk about the spoonless episode, if anyone has any suggestions, we are going to do jingles for and like little sound bites to put into the podcast when we do things that we do a lot, like mention our mums and
Yes. Which we've done now. Hello to my mum. Hello to Emma's mum.
yes, hello,
Thank you for
mum.
listening.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you all
Tick.
the time. And for listener mentions and for a few other things that
Yes.
are on a list somewhere, you know.
They're on a
But if,
spreadsheet because I made a spreadsheet.
which is a happy time. Spreadsheets are a happy time. We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, if anyone, any of the regular listeners have any suggestions for what we could have a soundbite for things that you find are recurring themes in the podcast, then please do let us know, and then we will speak to our very, very lovely jingle man. I don't know how he'll feel about being called a jingle man.
Our sound consultant.
Our sound consultant, yes. And he's far more than a jingle man. But yeah.
Which, by the way, if we sound amazing.
Oh yeah.
This is because we bought these microphones about 3 episodes in, bearing in mind that this is episode 21, which is another tick. We needed to mention that. And we've been using them incorrectly.
Yes.
And our sound consultant said, "Where is your mic?" Which is what you now can see Emma's mic.
And for anyone watching, this part of the microphone is called what? A pop filter? Is it a pop
filter? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. And I have been speaking into the other side of the microphone this whole time, not realizing that that is there for a reason. I mean, I knew it would be there for a reason, but I didn't know what the reason was.
And it's there to just face away from you.
I could have looked into it or looked in the manual or anything else, but I decided that it was, I don't know, I thought, right, in my head, it was some kind of, I don't know, like a protector to protect the microphone from something, not to filter the sounds. It makes a lot of sense what it is, but I hadn't thought about it. Like, I'd thought about it, but not in a actual logical way.
No. We'd not thought about them aside from the fact that they sounded marginally better.
Oh, way better. I listened to the podcast. So the other day when I listened to the last episode in the car, I was on a road trip. I decided to listen to the first 2 episodes. I listened to most of the first 2 episodes. And the difference, because you got your microphone after the first episode, the difference in your sound from episode 1 to episode 2 is insane.
Oh, cool. But you know why? Because mine was facing the right way.
Yes. Well, there we go. Never mind.
But equally, it was quite far away from my mouth, which is apparently where it's supposed to be near.
Yes.
To give you all of the ASMR autism sounds.
Yeah.
And it's not just a glorified light that changes colour, which is what we've been treating it as for the past 9 months.
Buy this microphone, it changes colour. Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Okay, bye. Buying in my basket.
But yeah, it was in my basket for like a month longer than what it was in yours, because you bought yours and then I started using mine in episode 4, which was...
It could have been worse that our friend of the show that also has a podcast told me when I was asking him for microphone suggestions that at some point he used a SingStar mic in a coffee cup.
Oh, wow.
So at least we've upgraded from that.
We have. Yeah. But yeah, so jingles, wonderful. Spoons, not so wonderful.
No.
So spoonless episode 21 is spoonless.
Yes. As yet unnamed, but Descript will take care of that for us, hopefully.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And I've just realised that you were saying that we've got a new rave song, haven't we?
We've got a new rave song, but it's not ready yet.
Words on it, but we don't have to have a rave this time because it's a spoonless episode.
It's true. So we might have used the old rave for the last time. in the
Yeah.
last podcast, even though we haven't got a new one sorted.
So if you're listening, Peter Bengston, which I'm very sure that you are, thank you for your service.
It's been great for the last 20 episodes, less the 3 or 4 spoonless episodes that we've done without a rave.
Mm,
But your services are no longer required. We
yeah,
have
you're
now
fired.
had a better offer.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the reasons why we're spoonless and
Mm.
how they're related to autism. I mean, the whole thing is related to autism, isn't it,
Yes,
essentially? But
because we're autistic.
yeah,
I
but
don't know if you remember that.
I had forgotten. I had a coach reminded me last week. I went into a coaching session and I said, why is this big thing like right in front of my face? It's really infuriating me. This big thing's about to happen and it's right in front of my face. And I put my hand over my face when I'm saying it's just here all the time and I can't get it out of my head. And my coach, who is very lovely, said to me, Emma, can I just remind you that you're neurodivergent? And I was just like, yep, yep, you can. You can remind me of that because we all need reminding of it sometimes. I think when we're getting frustrated with ourselves for things that we really wish we could process like normal human beings is exactly the phrase I'm going to use because that's how it feels in the moment. It's like, why can I not just take this information and just go with it and accept it and not have to make a big deal out of it in my head and have it be like the biggest thing? And so, yeah, I was reminded this week in a kind way. Um,
But you do, I think it's only natural because if you think about it, we've spent more of our lives not knowing and just
yeah,
thinking that we were rubbish than we
oh,
have.
absolutely.
And I think that's I think I said it in the last episode, but I'll say it again. That's one of the biggest things that diagnosis has given me is the tools to understand myself
Yeah,
and know that not everything's a failure. And if I react in a certain way, that's okay and it'll pass. And even self-diagnosis and recognizing the traits of neurodivergence in yourself and
yeah,
thinking that's me, it means that you've seen and you know that you're not just crap, which is
yeah. I mean,
it's what we say a lot
yeah,
into it
most of
may
the people that I work with have a whole why am I like this thing? And that's the question. Like when people
mm,
say, what do you do in coaching? I say, well, have you ever done something, got frustrated and shouted out, why am I like this? Well, I will help you answer that question. And I still do every now and then if I'm doing something and I'm frustrated and I'm like, why am I like this? And I'm like, I know why I'm like this. We're aware. That'll be the Tism or the ADHD.
yes, I was gonna say we literally named the podcast after it.
I've got a friend actually who's, I think, started to accept. So I'm allowed to say, been in denial about autism for quite a while. She's diagnosed with ADHD. And every time she's put a question in a group chat that I have with her and another friend, she's like, Emma, don't say it. Because she just got so fed up with me saying that'll be the tism to everything that she posted in the chat. Or like she's posted a thing and then less than 10 seconds later, she's like, Emma, just don't say it. Because with the other friend that's in the group, she's aware that she's autistic. So I'm allowed to say that will be the tism to her. But yeah, it's been quite funny. And then like last week, she shared a reel and she's like, Emma, I think there might actually be something in this. And I was like, newsflash. um,
Yeah.
so it's interesting. But yeah, that'll be the tism is the reason. It's the reason why. Um, all of the things.
Yes.
So where
It's
are we
not always
starting?
the tis, but most of the time
Yeah,
it is.
oftentimes.
Often times.
So where are we starting? Are we starting with you or are we starting with me?
Well, I don't know. I think you've got more to talk about than I
I
have.
have more to talk about. I have some things that I definitely want to talk about. I'll talk about the big thing first, I think, because then it's out of the way and talked about. And it is really, really exciting and positive. I mean, I had some news a couple of weeks ago that threw me completely because it was a loop that was closed at the beginning of January. I went for a job and I didn't get the job, and that was fine. And I closed the loop. And then a couple of weeks later, I got an email saying, oh, do you want this job now? And my brain was like, yes, I definitely want the job. And then my brain was like, what? I've dealt with this. I've closed it. It's all happened and been finished and done. And so I had to reopen the loop. And the job in question is a documentary. And the idea behind this documentary is just incredible. It's been organised by two women called Rachel Morgan Trimmer and Gigi Shum, and they are making a documentary called How to Be Different. The pilot is something that I have got the job in. We're doing a pilot to try and get a full series commissioned, which will be to demonstrate coaching of ADHDers, autistic people, ADHDers, to show how the coping strategies and the coaching works so that people watching the TV show can learn from watching it and can put the strategies in place in their own lives without having to pay for a coach and be coached themselves. And it will make it relatable, it will make it understood, it will make it easy to understand what coaching is, how neurodivergence impacts. And it is a really, really exciting project that I am like really excited to be a part of, because when I went for it and found out what the full scope of what they wanted to do was, it's so aligned with what everything I do is about. Like I say to everyone that asks me, it's in all of my website and everywhere, everything has spreading awareness and making sure that people know how this stuff impacts our lives so that we can make sure our kids don't have to go through the same stuff that we went through. And the more awareness there is, and if you can get on a platform that is literally telly, the pilot that I'm filming isn't going on telly, it's going on YouTube. It's going to be put in front of production companies to try and get the docu-series commissioned, but it is incredible and I'm really, really, really excited about it. And there is a Kickstarter. If anyone wants to look into the Kickstarter and look at the full documentary and see all the details, then the link will be in the show notes. It's a long
Yes.
link because it's on Kickstarter, but it is a docu-series called How to Be Different. You can find it on Kickstarter if you search, but the link will be in the show notes. So that's a big, huge thing. I will be talking about it more later in the year when it's filmed and ready to go. Um, but yeah, it's good. That's the thing I wanted to
Mm,
mention.
yes,
But yeah, it sounds
very
all right,
good.
doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. So that's that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then I was going to talk about validation,
Yes, data validation.
using data for validation, which is kind of like a trait of the week. We did mention it last time briefly when we were talking about telling people things and giving them as much information as you can. If it's big, scary news, especially if you've got all of the answers or all of the possible answers to give the person when you tell them,
Mm.
if they're autistic, this is kind of that. So, with using data for validation, it has been the tax deadline. That's another reason why I'm spoonless and exhausted, because it's been the tax deadline and I still have a little bit of my business left from when I was in accounts. And last week was very intense getting to the tax deadline and getting everything submitted. But I had a conversation with my coach last week about the difference between a bookkeeping career and a coaching career. And there's a significant amount of difference between a bookkeeping career and a coaching career. But one of the reasons why a lot of autistic people like maths is that you can't argue with maths in a lot of cases. In some cases, you can. And if anyone wants to argue about maths, then my fiance will to the end of the earth. But when you've got a set of accounts, it is what it is. It's obvious when it's right. All the boxes are ticked, everything balances, it's squared off. It's easy to say, this is that set of accounts and it's right. Whereas with something like coaching, people, people
Mm.
aren't an exact science. Every person is different. And so it can be really tricky with autism to see the progress, to see the success, to sort of feel like it's actually working and you're doing a good job as a coach. But I did my tax return and the numbers in my tax return, basically I'm making the same amount of money, but a different proportion of it is coaching than what it was a year ago. And it's a much higher proportion. And so I was like, oh, look, that's a thing. And I mean, I've known that my business has been changing and developing, but until I literally saw the comparatives in front of me, in front of my face, black and white, set of accounts, bish bash bosh, my brain could all of a sudden accept that my business has changed and that it is a proper business and that it's being successful. And it's like an instant sigh of relief to sort of be able to say, oh, right, okay, so this is a thing. And it's bizarre that that's what it takes. But a lot of autistic people need data to feel validated and numbers and putting things in spreadsheets. And we were talking before about crochet for the wedding and putting the
Yeah.
progress in a spreadsheet so that you see it happening and make sure you're on track. And it just makes everything feel a little bit more comfortable if you can see it in numbers written in front of your face.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I like spreadsheets, because with my job currently, there's a lot of like targets to hit, but you'll get pressures from people that think, oh, you're not going to hit the targets, and being able to put the numbers towards it and say, we need to get this amount of people to be able to hit this target and this amount of people to hit this target, it often sinks in a lot better with people than just panicking about the end result. So I've sort of become a bit famous in my team for my spreadsheet abilities because it's my way of making things that make sense in my brain make sense to other people as well. And also to know that I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
lots of reasons why we like spreadsheets, but that's one of them.
there are. And actually, in episode 2, which I listened to this week, as I've already said, we ask people to send in their weird spreadsheets. So if anyone out there is listening to this and they think, oh, yeah, I keep a spreadsheet for this, that's something they might find interesting. We will find it interesting, promise. So please
Oh
let us
yeah.
know if you have any weird spreadsheets for anything. I recently went back onto Neopets briefly after someone posted about it on Facebook. And I used to
Mm.
have a Neopets spreadsheet. I used to have a spreadsheet for tracking my badge progress on Neopets. And I had little pictures of all the badges and how far I'd got and what I needed to do to attain them and all of it, like in a big spreadsheet. That's probably my weirdest one.
I was trying to think of some of mine. I've got one that's a mood tracker one, which is one that my coach, because I had some access to work coaching, she said to me, oh, think of a way to track your mood. And then you're able to show it to people and go, when this happens, it impacts my mood in this way. And my brain just went, well, I can do a spreadsheet about that. So I did. And it's got all the conditional formatting on it. So if like I mark a day as a 1, it goes red. And if I mark a day as a 7, it goes green. So yeah, I have a spreadsheet that I use every year that when I'm going on holiday, it's got stuff on that I need to pack. And as I put things in my case each time, I tick it off to make sure that I've got everything in my case that I need. That's another one.
That's handy.
Basically, if you can have a spreadsheet for something, generally I will. That's the way my brain works.
Yeah, my wedding one's getting quite epic. I've got a big wedding
I
spreadsheet.
don't know if I had a wedding spreadsheet. I probably did, to be honest. But
There's a lot to
in
organise.
terms of like planning and knowing what was going to happen and everything,
You'll definitely have had a wedding spreadsheet.
yeah, and who was doing what,
Yeah.
I will have done. So yeah, let us know if you use spreadsheets to make sense of the world, and if you don't, what do you use? Are there any tools that you use that
Yeah.
other people might go, hmm?
See, I also use Trello. At the moment, we're having some access issues with my virtual assistant, and she can't get onto my to-do list, or she wasn't able
Oh,
to get onto my to-do list. So I'm using Trello for work currently because it makes it easier. I've been using a spreadsheet as my to-do list. I've got on my work one, I've got my finance stuff, I've got my to-do list, I've got my emails, things that I need to follow up on, I've got my social media metrics, and I've got my access to work coaching clients and where they're up to, and all of my clients. I've got different tabs for everything, and then I just have to have one document open. I mean, I usually have multiple documents open, but I only have to have one document open. when I've got that spreadsheet. So everything other than my to-do list is still on the spreadsheet, but the to-do list itself has moved onto Trello, which can be used for project planning and multiple parties can access. And I do a summer holiday planner thing on Trello for people to collaboratively plan holidays with their kids. That's another thing I have on Trello, because if you've got kids, you can download the app and access it for free. And then your kids can put in what they want to do over summer and you can work with them to try and fit that in. Just helps with collaboration, which is important with autism, because the more control we have over something, the more likely we are to go to do it and enjoy it. So yeah,
Yes.
Trello, spreadsheets, other tools, please let us know. Yeah, I'm happy. We're always happy to
Mm.
hear about things and share them, although we are not sponsored by Trello
Or
or Excel.
spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love to be sponsored by spreadsheets.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. I had a badge that said something about Excel that my sister's bought me, but I don't have it in here. That's how much I am known for spreadsheets.
I got my fiance a mug and it's a spreadsheet and it says same sheet, different day on it.
Yes, I've seen that before, yeah.
Yes. And I liked it. So I got it for him. So yeah, there's
Very
lots of,
good.
we're in a very spreadsheet
Spreads.
friendly house. But yeah, data validation. Yeah. So if you're not sure about how you feel about something, or you're not sure on how well you're doing, or you need to feel like you're making progress, can you put it into a spreadsheet? I know when I did CBT, actually, when I'd had my son, CBT is a bit weird for neurodivergent people. It often doesn't work. The stuff tends to not stick. But what I found really helpful, and probably the main thing I took away from CBT that still resonates, is making everything into percentages. I used to be very anxious when I'd just had my son, that I'd be walking down the street with his pram and I'd let go of it and it would roll out into the road in front of a car. And so I didn't leave the house very often at all. I was very, very anxious just after I had him. And we're in CBT, it was like, how many times has that happened? And I was just like, well, obviously it's not happened any time. She's like, when you're with other people, are they pushing it? Are you pushing it? And I was like, no, well, I'm push it. That's fine. Well, how many times have you walked down the street with your son? Da da da. And what percentage of times have you let go of it and has it rolled out into the road? And what do you think? Why do you think the likelihood is more when you're on your own? You know, all this. And it turned into a 0% chance. Or it's a 0% from what's happened previously, and that's all we can go on. And I mean, it's difficult when something happens because then obviously the percentage goes up of the times it's happened, but it's still low enough.
Less, yeah.
Usually, it's low enough to be reassuring if you look at the bigger picture overall, because generally the things that we're anxious about when we're most overwhelmed are things that we do all the time, and finding ways to prove that the thing is not going to come true, that we don't want to come true, putting that into a percentage has been very, very helpful for me. And
Yeah.
it's like even with the wedding crochet, I'm calculating how I'm using a percentage to show how far along I am rather than going, oh, I'm this many rows in. I'm at 18.6% complete currently. And it
Well,
just
speaking of crochet, that's a shared sort of hyper focus of the week, isn't it? In a way, because there's a group chat of all the people that are responsible for Scarfigan duties for your wedding.
yeah.
And there were lots of messages in there at the weekend, weren't there? And I hadn't started mine. I had started my test one, but I hadn't started
The
the
actual one.
final version. And I did only get the wool in December, so I don't want to be too hard on
Oh
myself. But
no.
it's one of those things, isn't it, that you don't realize about it. I think, especially about autism, is you get so far away from the task that
Yeah.
you like, it becomes a mountain to actually start doing it.
Yeah.
So I started doing it yesterday and I've been like, it was what I wanted to do today to chill out. So
Good.
that's good that I've got into it again because I always find it, we've said before, haven't we, with counting and things and the repetition of crocheting of patterns, it's very helpful sometimes if you're feeling anxious or if you're trying to like zone out or chill out. There was all of that going on in the chat yesterday, and I thought I'm just gonna have to. Well, I kept thinking about it anyway, but it got to a point where I just got up, went and got my crochet hook and the wool from upstairs and started doing it. And this leads
Well done.
nicely into my trauma. It's not trauma. It's really not trauma. But
It's subjective.
my day yesterday was reasonably stressful, shall we say.
Mm.
Stressful again seems like a weird like word, but it's
Allowed to have been stressful, Claire.
yes,
Feelings are valid.
it's lots of little things, isn't it? That's what we always say. It's not.
Yeah.
It's lots of little things that affect you in a different way to a neurotypical person. So, because of my husband's car getting stolen, it's prompted us to upgrade our CCTV. And that's been a hyper focus this week, actually, because we found the man, he'd been out and done the quote, and then I was responsible for all the like life admin stuff. One of our listeners said to me yesterday, actually, if I'd not listened to the podcast, I wouldn't have realised that you'd done some of the admin stuff for the car going missing. And I'm like, you know my husband, you've known him for over 30 years. You're aware that whilst he's a capable, that's what he put, he's a competent and capable person. I'm like, yes, he is, but he still needs a secretary.
So many of us do.
So yeah, so I suppose with the CCTV as well and me organising it, it was an element of control that I know what was going on and I've got all the information about it. But I wanted to pay by card and I couldn't. I had to pay by bank transfer, and that was stressing me out because although there's all these reviews that said he was, reliable and bloody bloody blah, I was thinking, is this normal for me to have to pay a deposit and do it by a bank transfer? Is it dodgy? Am I being scammed? And then he'd said, can I come on a particular day? And I'd said, no, because blah, blah, blah. And I need my husband to be here for the dog. Whereas what I should have said was, no, that's not convenient. But I'd given him all of the information about why he couldn't come and then just felt really weird for telling him, no, you can't come because there's nobody but me here to look after the dog and I need to work. And then he came yesterday and obviously it's quite a long process, so I was a bit on edge with him like being all around the house and you could just see him tootling past windows at certain points. And then he came inside to link it all up to the internet and put it on our phones and he couldn't. And he was just stood in the front room. This is no disrespect to the man. I'm like all comfortable there doing my crochet. And this man's just stood in the corner going, oh, you need to ring Sky, you need to ring Sky. We're not sponsored by Sky and I don't want to be.
No.
But we rang Sky and the Sky person's like, no, there's nothing I can do. Basically, was absolutely rubbish. It took ages to get through as well because it was one of those automated things. Like, what do you need help with? Oh, so you need help with this? No, I don't need help with this. I just want to speak to a technical support person. And the technical support person just went, I can't do anything and I can't hear you, so I'm going to hang up the call now. And meanwhile, this man's just stood in the corner of the room. And I'm not a person that really likes strangers anyway, so that was already stressing me out. And he's going, you need to do this, this, and this. And my husband's like, you need to look on your phone. And we were trying to get onto the router and everything. And my brain just felt like it was going to explode. And he went out, the man, for a minute. And I just said, you're going to have to tell him to go in a minute because I can't cope with this for much longer. Bernie, because Bernie wants to have all of the attention from everybody in the world, did not shut up for 5 hours,
Oh my God.
whinging to go out and be paid attention to by this man that wasn't there for that. So my husband went out to try and sort something and he came back in and I just had my head in my hands and he's like, do you need to go upstairs? And I'm like, yes. So I went upstairs and I was on the verge of a meltdown. I had a cry and I was like starting to like hyperventilate and everything and it was coming, but I managed to breathe through it because I was just so overwhelmed. The main light in the room was on as well because I was crocheting and the man needed to see what he was doing. So it was all the light, the dog not shutting up, this man that was just stood in the corner of the room, which he's a lovely man, but I don't need him to be stood in the corner of my room for half an hour when I've only just met him. So yeah, I did more of the crochet last night to try and chill my brain out, I think.
Mm.
But that is my experience of the week is the crochet man. No, the crochet man.
The crochet
Yeah, I
man.
can't speak either.
Mm.
The CCTV saga
Yeah.
and my very near meltdown, which is the first one I've had in a while, probably. The last real one I had was maybe the one that we spoke about in August in one of our episodes,
Mm.
where I realised what meltdowns were after 39 years. So
Uh,
that was that. And then I said to you, because I'm a bit obsessed with watching the CCTV now, I'm like, is that an autistic thing? Because I'm just watching it all the time to see what's going on and who's walking past and that sort of thing.
yeah, completely. It's just the need to know. It's the need to know everything about everything. And it can seem nosy, but it's just eternal inquisitiveness.
Yeah. But then
Essentially.
I went outside just after the man had left and I was picking up some of the bits and bobs that he'd left. And then I thought to myself, oh, I'll watch the CCTV later on just to see what it caught, like which angles it caught and everything. And then Bernie was out there and you could just see her in the background. In the background. She went and had a wee, and I'm just like trying to pick all this stuff up, and you can just hear the dog walk behind me and just have a poo. I'm like, this is probably just too much information now, but I'd not noticed that she'd had that poo. So 2 hours later, when I was watching the CCTV of myself, I
It's already
realised
done
that,
its job.
yeah,
It's already found a dog poo
it's
for you.
worth the money already
Totally.
because I knew that the dog had been. I just
Attempting to
chuckled to myself because I'm just watching me, and then I just see the dog just come over and just adopt the stance that dogs do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was happening.
Ah, well, you see, it's already worth the money.
Yeah, we managed to figure out all the internet stuff out ourselves for the CCTV in the end.
Good. Well
Because
done.
he ended up going, the CCTV man, and he's like, oh, I have to come back at another time, which was fair enough. I was like, bye, see you later. There's no need for you to come back ever again, no offense. Um, and then I Googled it and it was like, no offense to this man, but it's a signal sender thing to upstairs.
Ah, okay.
And there's two halves of it. And what you have to do is press the button on the side and the button on the side of the other one to pair them. And he'd not done that.
Oh,
So there
God.
was no issue with our internet. It was just the fact that these things needed pairing, which I found out.
Oh, my God.
So maybe my new career will be as a CCTV installer.
Maybe you could do that as a side.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
side hustle. Because I was like, this is not good enough. I need to find the answer
Yeah. Obviously.
because that will be the tism.
Tism. Yeah.
Hmm.
All that stuff.
I think
Leaves
that's
something.
nearly everything on the list,
It is nearly everything on the list.
except for
National insurance
Emma's
numbers.
random factoid of the week.
I had an exciting discovery this morning. And it was exciting. It generally has made my day. And it's one of those things that I think only autistic people would be overjoyed by, because overjoyed is not an overstatement. But I was filling in some paperwork for one of my brothers, well, for his wife anyway. And I put his national insurance number in, and I've been doing his tax return for a long time. I've seen his national insurance number many, many, many times, but I've never paid attention because it's not important and I've never had to actually type it out. But when I was typing it out, I was like, oh, this is only 2 digits different from my national insurance number. That's a bit strange. And so so my brothers are twins. And I was like, I wonder if my other brother's national insurance slots in between. And it does. I messaged my other brother to say, random question, but have you got your national insurance number? What is it? Because I've noticed a pattern between mine and our other brothers, and I just wanted to know if yours is consistent with the pattern. And yeah, it's exactly the same letters and the same initial 4 digits. And then I'm 79, one of my brothers is 80, and one of my brothers is 81. We've got different letters on the end. But it's like, that's weird. That can't just be a coincidence. I was just honestly so excited. I had a call earlier with one of my support workers, and she messaged her sisters and said, what's your national insurance number? And I messaged you saying, ask your sister for a national insurance number. And then your sister's had a rough day. And if she does listen, then I'm sorry you've had a rough day, but this needs sorting. So,
I
so
will have to ask her,
yeah.
won't I? I
But
just
yeah,
need to phrase it because I'm like, I said to you, does my sister know why you're asking? And you said no, because she'd find that weird. I'm like, Well, she'd find that weird anyway, Emma, that I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Because I messaged you with no context at all saying, can you get your sister's national insurance number before we record the podcast? Because I thought, I don't want to tell you because I wanted it to be a moment of revelation for you so that you could have the same level of joy as I felt when when I saw that the national insurance numbers were all consecutive numbers. But my support worker's sister, who is quite a bit younger than her, but their national insurance numbers are nothing alike.
Oh,
And
no.
so it's not for everyone. But then, I mean, I got my mum's national insurance number because I was like, I wonder if national insurance numbers are actually constructed from your parents and everything is done in a certain way. But I'm like, that seems pretty risky for security and fraud and all of that stuff. But once you had informed me that it was a weird question to ask someone, I decided that I would just Google national insurance numbers and siblings. And apparently there was a period in the 90s. And now there must have been a period in the 80s as well, because this is when me and my brothers were born in the 80s. We're only 20 months apart, but apparently there was a period at that time where some siblings have consecutive national insurance numbers. And because my brothers are twins and their birth would have been registered at the same time, that's likely why they have consecutive numbers. But the fact that mine is also in with theirs has just completely blown my tiny mind. And I was just really happy about it. And it's one of those bizarre things that, yeah, so if you have siblings, check what the national insurance numbers
See,
are.
I thought you were going to say, send us your national insurance
No,
number to,
not
that'll
gonna,
be the tism@gmail.com.
not
It's
gonna do that.
not a scam, we promise.
We just collecting national insurance numbers.
National insurance number
That's
data.
totally, yeah. But yeah, my mum's national insurance number is nothing like mine at all. But yeah, my brother's, it's weird because yeah, I'm 7'9". One of them's 80, the other one's 81. And I was like, that's just for, yeah, because they're supposed to be random. And the internet says that most of the time they are, but in some cases
Hmm.
they did issue some of them consecutive numbers. It was a thing that I think was potentially trialed and decided that actually that is a security risk, really, if it's a known thing.
Oh, yeah, I imagine it would be. Other countries don't have national insurance numbers, do they? Like America has. I'm just
Social
thinking.
security, they have for our abroad
Our
listeners.
international
Yeah.
listeners, I guess it's a social security number.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
in
the
the
same sort of
US,
thing?
yeah, in the US, it's a social security number. And basically, it's the number that we have that identifies us when we are paying tax as employed people. Self employed people also have a unique tax reference as well as the national insurance number. But everybody over the age of 16 who's legally allowed to work in the UK, whether you are from another country or not, when you come to this country and get a work permit, you were allocated a national insurance number and pay your national insurance, and then you can get a pension and health benefits and stuff from living
Mm.
here. So that's what a national insurance number is. So yeah, it's supposed to be just randomly allocated, but me and my brothers have 3 consecutive numbers. And there we go. And it's weird because my fiance, who isn't going to ask his sisters what their national insurance numbers are, too much to my frustration, was a flat no. I got a flat no. And I'm like,
No.
hub, just, but his national insurance number starts with the same 2 letters and ends with the same letter as mine, which is, I mean, obviously we're not related, but it's just a weird coincidence. That is because yours starts with one of the same letters as mine, but not the other, isn't it?
Mm. And mine's like my second letter is later on in the alphabet
Yeah.
than your brothers, who were born in the same year as
Yeah.
me.
So it is random, but not always. So go and check your
So,
national insurance numbers. There you go. There's an interesting
yeah.
little side quest if you need one, which I didn't need one today, but it did give me some massive amounts of joy. Massive amounts. I was overjoyed and I still am. I'm still really excited about it. And that's nice. It's nice to be
Yeah.
excited about something
Yeah.
quite straightforward, but it's a pattern. And as we know, Tism likes patterns.
Yes.
So that's that's
I
it.
think that's about it. I was just going to say we didn't speak about our social event without leaving the house, which was watching the new
Oh
Take That
God.
documentary.
How have we not spoke about that? That's been a major thing.
There isn't really a lot to say about it, is there? Aside from if you need to have some downtime, it's a good idea to say, hey, friend, will you watch this thing at the same time as me that is one of our special interests?
Yeah.
Because we watched all 3 episodes of the new Take That documentary, which
Yeah.
is on Netflix,
Sponsored
sponsored
by
by
Netflix.
Take That or
Mm.
Netflix now.
Or any of them. But if Take
But
That want to sponsor us,
if they're listening,
if they're listening,
then here's up.
yeah.
Anyway, so we did that, didn't we? And just had a bit
We
of
did.
a.
It was really nice because we used to regularly have watch parties of things,
Mm-hmm.
didn't we? Like we used to watch The Circle sometimes, and we still have the Robbie Williams Better Man
Mm,
biopic to watch at some point. But it was quite nice. And because Take That, I think, were probably my first special interest. Thinking back to my life, Take That were probably my first special interest. And there was moments in that documentary, like they started when they were in a room, and a lot of it that I hadn't seen. They say includes a lot of unseen footage. And
mm-hmm.
usually with Take That, when it says includes a lot of unseen footage, I've seen most of the footage because I've watched a lot of things about Take That, especially in the 90s. I had all the videos that they released, and I've watched most of the things or a variation of most. So some of the unseen footage that I've seen is like, but the other side of that
Mm-hmm.
room is someone recording a video and I've seen the video. So, it's not new information. But like when they were playing, they played a couple of demos, which I got really excited about because I like to hear new versions of songs that I love, especially earlier versions, because it's really nice to hear the development of the songs.
Mm.
And then when they were in a room talking about the first album, and then Gary's on the piano playing Why Can't I Wake Up With You? And I'm just like, oh, that's it. And that's like 2 years earlier, because of course he'd written so many of the songs, or
Mm.
the basis of so many of the songs, when he was in his teens before he was in the band. I was getting excited, and there was parts of it, and I had goosebumps, and my fiance's there looking at me like I'm a complete stranger because I've never watched a Take That documentary with him, because it's an unusual thing to do with someone who doesn't like Take That.
I was
Um,
surprised that he.
I mean, if I ask him to, he'll watch pretty much anything.
Mm,
I mean, he was on his phone. He wasn't watching it 100%
no.
because I mean, I referred back to it. There's been a thing, I don't know if you've seen the thing, the girl in the first episode that shouts her phone number out when they're on.
Yes.
Have you seen the thing where he tried to ring her?
Yes, because our sound man has put the thing in the group chat.
Is that where I've seen it?
Yeah, because she's responded and
He's
said,
responded. Yeah.
I'll DM you my new number.
Yeah. And you can ring me if you want.
Mm,
Yeah, I knew I'd seen it somewhere, and that's disappointing that that's where it was because you already knew. But yeah, so it's interesting that they're watching it, and it was a very different perspective on a lot of the
yeah.
time, and there's been a lot publicized around the breakup of Take That and all that. But the bit where they got back together, and the documentary that when they got back together or before they got back together, that was like this huge like reveal, and how
Mm,
staged a lot of that was, and how cruel almost a lot of it was,
yeah.
because they hadn't communicated between the members what was happening and who was going to be there and who wasn't and what it was actually for. Watching it now is just a bit like, oh my God, it's just
Yeah.
all done for the money and for the staging of it. And it's really sad that they were all sort of put through that.
Yeah.
And they are actually, human beings and all. But yeah, I mean, do we mention the Tism?
Well, I
The
was going to
Tism
say, are you going
situation?
to, because you said we're not going to diagnose celebrities on the
We're not.
podcast.
We're not going to diagnose celebrities on the podcast. I don't think I can, because there is a fair chance that we might get sued for defamation
Mm,
of character,
I don't think
even
we
though
will.
but I just I feel a bit harsh about it. But okay, so I could say that there are clues that we saw in the documentary, and we were having a conversation that we're not going to name and shame, but we did have suspicions as we were going through that there may be a member of Take That we might suspect may have the tism,
Mm.
just a touch.
But I said statistically,
And when you've got, because Take That, obviously Robbie Williams is openly ADHD. ADHD, but
ADHD.
Is it not
Just
both?
ADHD. I
Or
don't
just
think he's
ADHD?
ADHD yet.
Okay. But yeah,
But
Rob Williams has been open about his neurodivergence and the struggles that he's had, which is brilliant. But we suspect that there may be another band member of Take That may be autistic. But Google says that there's no evidence. I would disagree, having watched that documentary, but obviously
well,
not a doctor and all that.
the thing is, they might know, they might be keeping it private, they might have no intention of looking into it. And also, we've said before, like traits of things.
Yeah.
Everybody has traits of autism, don't they?
Everybody has traits of autism. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with it at
No,
all, because we're
definitely
here
not. We've got a
doing this.
podcast about
We've got
it.
a podcast about it. But it was interesting to feel, I think, because Take That were a special interest, and I was, yeah, it's nice to see relatability. It's nice to be hearing about someone saying, oh, this is my experience of being in the band, and thinking, I would feel the same. You know, if I was in a band in that situation, I would feel the same. I would be going through similar things because
Yeah.
of my autism. And so to have that relatability was really nice, I thought. And it kind of made it a better experience for me, like a fuller experience for me, I think, to have the relatability of somebody going through those things that I could imagine happening without it feeling alien.
Yeah.
But it was nice to just watch something and just message through it and watch it at the same time. There's adverts in our Netflix after an hour. And so the third episode, I was just like, yeah, I'm missing another 30 seconds now, so I'll be a little bit behind.
But I had to pause it, didn't I? So that I was at the same time as you because that
It
would
was
be the tism.
important. We don't want to spoiler each other by accident.
No.
And there were a couple of times where we sent the same message at pretty much the same time, which was really nice. That's always a happy time. But yeah, I
That's because
enjoyed
of
it.
our shared Brian that lives
Yeah.
on the Woodhead Pass.
Yes, that's true. Reference to a previous podcast about the hut on Woodhead where Brian lives.
Brian is our brains.
Brain. Because we've obviously named Brian. Well, it started as a typo, didn't it? But now it's been Brian for quite a while.
Brian for a long
Years.
time. So yeah,
Right. So
I have another thing.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
The name of the last podcast
Oh gosh.
was A Cow's Been Stolen.
At least we know where that one's come from.
Yeah,
Quite
a
obvious.
car's been stolen.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot nicer if the cow had been stolen.
Well,
I mean, I would have
I don't
still
know if
been sad
nice.
if I had a cow and it got stolen.
I was going to say, I don't think nice is the right word.
No, nice is not the right word, but
If I had a cow, then it would be used for cheese.
my husband doesn't need to ride the cow to work, does he? So
no. If I had a
taken
cow,
my cow instead.
if I had a cow and it was used for cheese and it was stolen, then I would be very, very sad.
It would be upsetting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if I was using it for cheese.
Yeah.
Which I would be if I had a cow, that would be what I would be using it for. And not that you have to use animals to have them. I'm not
No, you
averse
could
to
just have
pets,
one as a pet.
but I would be very humanely extracting milk for cheese from a cow if I had a cow. I would be very kind to the cow, but I would also be extracting milk from it.
Brilliant.
In a
And
kind
on
way.
that note, if you want to know more about Emma's theoretical cow, you can email us at that'llbethetism@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Or if you want to know where you can find us on the internet, you can go to the place that I can't say, which is
linktr.ee/that'llbethetism and
slashes.
slashes. And yeah, please rate us, review us, like us, subscribe, send us emails, generally interact with us on social media. That's nice.
Why
We like
not?
it when that happens.
If you see one of the reels that I've done, watch them, even though you've already watched this podcast or listened to this podcast, and like them because I would like that.
Validation.
Yeah.
It's
Data
nice
validation.
Data.
Yeah.
Numbers are better than not numbers.
We're just saying words now, aren't we?
We are. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We are
Yes.
grateful for your presence and for your support. And we will be back 2 weeks and we'll hopefully have some jingle type things.
Jongles.
In 2 weeks, maybe, hopefully.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Bye for now.